Hello and welcome to Shell Point Today for Tuesday, December 13th. I'm Adam Brown. On today's show, the folks at FineMark National Bank and Trust will discuss estate planning. And we'll bring you another installment of Gallery Glimpses, where we'll see some beautiful artwork that's on display this month. But first, don't forget that this Thursday you can enjoy some holiday lights at Charlotte Harbor in this canal boat tour at Fisherman's Village in Punta Gorda. First, you'll enjoy holiday shopping and dinner out, followed by a boat ride aboard Kingfisher Cruise Lines. It's a fun, colorful, light-filled journey through the canals of Charlotte Harbor. The cost of the outing is $27 with dinner on your own, and court pickups begin on the island at 2 p.m. for those who sign up. Also, don't forget to participate in some Christmas spirit by caroling aboard a sunset cruise on the Susie Q. Sing some of your favorite Christmas carols in this 1.5-hour cruise. Eggnog and Christmas cookies will be served as well. Come join your Shell Point neighbors and friends at 6 p.m. on December 13th, 15th, 16th, 19th, 22nd, and 23rd. The cost of the caroling cruise is $5 per person, so sign up now as space is limited. The Village Church recently wrapped up their annual Thanksgiving food drive, and the results are in. Over 1,200 pounds of food and $4,172 in monetary donations were collected. Thanks to everyone who participated in the drive. And now, the folks at FineMark National Bank and Trust on the island want to talk to us about estate planning. Jessica Stilwell, Catti, speaks with Sawczyn to talk about reviewing your plan and what everyone should include.
Hello, I'm Jessica Stilwell Catti with FineMark National Bank and Trust, and today we are talking about estate plans and the importance of reviewing your estate plan. And with me is Sawczyn, and Reed is a private wealth advisor at FineMark. And Reed, we're going to talk about reviewing your plan, but before we do that, let's talk about the basics and just what should every plan include?
So typically a plan in Florida includes a will, a trust, a durable power of attorney, a healthcare surrogate, and a living will.
Okay, so we're not going to go over all of those things because that would take too much time today, sure. But that's your basic plan. Correct. And so I think, and you tell me, but I think that what I've heard happens is that people will get their estate plan together and then they kind of put it in a drawer or put it away and they don't think about it. What are the dangers of doing that?
Sure. The issues, if you just create it once and then don't look at it for years to come, is it becomes stale, like a lot of other things, and so you can end up leaving assets to people you didn't want to leave them to, or life events happen that change how you might want to dispose of things.
So let's talk about that then. As far as you said life event, but when should you, or how often should you review your estate plan?
So anytime a life event occurs is a good time to revisit it. For a cursory review, just in case something in the economy's changed, or we have an election coming up, so maybe that's a good time, but maybe once a year just to go over the basics, and then every 3 to 5 years is worth dusting it off and really giving it a good once over.
Let's talk about the life events, because what does that mean? I mean, is that a death? Is that
Well, that's exactly what it is. A birth, a death, a child, a grandchild, a marriage, anything that changes how your assets might distribute when you die.
And I'm sure that this becomes very emotional for all of the family members involved, obviously, if someone passes away. But the importance to either the person or a family member of having those things right. I mean, we all know what we want to happen in our minds. And our families may know exactly what we want to happen. But if it's not written down exactly the way it is in our minds, it's not going to happen like that.
That's correct. The state of Florida and all states have kind of default rules. But if you don't want to be subject to the default rules, you certainly want to make sure your documents are up to date if there's a change in the law, if you move, if one of the life events, marriage, divorce, even sometimes people you plug in to handle things, your personal representative or your trustee, could be getting older and not able to do the job anymore. So There's a number of life events or situations where it's worth coming in and reviewing the documents again.
Well, let's talk about reviewing, because at FineMark, we are not estate attorneys, so we do not create the documents, but we do offer to our clients and non-clients reviews. And talk about that for a minute.
That's correct. It's important to make sure that accounts are titled correctly, and since we administer trusts, we're able to review through them and explain the flow of where things go and what happens when different death happens or incapacity occurs, what the next steps are. So we're able to outline for clients and explain some of the pitfalls and some of the benefits to some of the different options that you have.
And why is that important to do before you go to a estate planning attorney? Because I would think that some people are probably like, well, I have my attorney, so why do I need someone else? Why do I need another set of eyes?
You don't necessarily, but it's nice. It's always good to have someone else take a look, and we administer trusts on a day-to-day basis, and so we've seen some things that work well and stuff that doesn't. So it's just another opinion, and also might help you get your thoughts in order before you go and meet with the attorney.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And if any of you are interested in having a complimentary review, whether you're a client or not of client at FineMark, you can do that. You can call Anna Smith, our managing executive at FineMark on the Island, at 461-5999, 461-5999. Reed, thank you so much.
Thank you.
With FineMark, I'm Jessica Stilwell, Catti. Have a great day.
It's time for another Gallery Glimpses segment. Dotty Morrison is standing by to introduce us to a photographer whose works on display in the photo gallery have turned it into a beautiful garden.
Hi, I'm Dotty Morrison, and I'm here with another segment of Gallery Glimpses. We're here in the Photo Gallery and Studio. It's down the hall from the stamp room. Just come in from the tunnel and you'll find us. And what I'm here today seeing is almost a garden more than a gallery. I'm here with photographer John Ippensen. Hey John,
Hi.
Thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
You have created a garden here in the gallery.
Well, thank you.
What prompted you to start taking pictures of flowers?
Well, to find the beauty in Florida. You know, so much of the landscape in Florida is size and shapes of green.
Okay.
And so there are kind of oases of color around, and they're mostly in botanical gardens.
Right.
And so
Right.
here we kind of have a mini botanical garden with the combination of the plots in the gardens and also with the orchid house itself.
Right,
So,
and all the landscaping that we have.
That's right,
It's
yeah.
wonderful, yes.
and so most of these orchids, and there are several orchid pictures, are taken from orchids from our own orchid house.
All right, and I was drawn immediately to a picture that I don't think was taken here. It's this magnolia. Tell me about the magnolia.
Well, this again is going to Naples at the Naples Botanic Garden, and you can see, of course, that the flower stands out from the background, and that's achieved by depth of field and taking the picture, and sometimes you can accomplish the total desire that you're after by doing that. Other times you can use software to add further to the blurring of the background, so as to bring out the color, in this case the white color, which is very striking.
It's really beautiful. Now, I also noticed another picture that I think was taken near your home. It's back here on the back wall. This gardenia has beautiful backlight. I know you have a lot of gardenias at Royal Bonnet. Is that where you took this?
Yes, this is unique in that it was taken virtually outside my doorstep, and it was several blooms, of course, on the tree, and had the opportunity to look at this daily and to look at the time of day that you saw these, and to try to pick out a time of day where the lights were kind of optimal to get that picture.
You know, with the digital photography, that's something I keep hearing, is go back again and again and again. Right. Take many pictures, take them at different times of the day or night. Sounds like that's what you did.
That's right. I didn't always use the camera. I just went looking, but
right.
Then I took camera, and I, of course, took several shots before I decided that this was the best one.
All right. Have you been taking photographs very long, John?
Well, it depends on what you mean by photographs. I mean, I took snapshots starting way back in high school.
Sure.
I had a little Brownie camera that used in high school.
Oh, yeah.
And had a light room that decreased the cost of developing those black and white photos, which was the only thing we had on film at the time. And so I always remember that I took a picture of a cheerleader when she was up in the air with her legs behind her,
Yeah.
and cut her in that epitomal,
In the middle of her cheer.
in the middle
right?
of the cheer.
Yeah.
And we had a band director who was at that time had great interest in photography, and he saw that picture and he said, "That's pretty good," he said. So that that always, that little compliment kind of remained with me for
There you
a
go.
while. Yeah.
There you go. And when you came to Shell Point, I know you joined the photo club,
Right.
and you've really done a lot of research about photography, and you've really grown.
Well, I
in your
appreciate
skills.
that, and I think I attribute that to the people in the photography club, Herb Sklar in
Yes.
particular, with
Yes.
his courses that were presented, and our photo club that uses the critique wall with a different theme every month
Right.
to present everyone's photos for that theme and go through and try to see how we might be able to help people with their photography in that way.
Right. And back to your photographs. This rose is beautiful. This one here, was this from our rose garden?
Yes, that's one of the rose garden. Of course, if you walk by that at all, you'll notice that there's one plot there that has numerous roses.
Yes.
And there's some other roses and other plots scattered around
Yes.
that. So that was something that attracted my eye. And I think, too, that this represents one of several photographs that I took.
Yeah, and the colors, the cool and the warm colors,
Right.
make it really pop. Nice. Right. So one more picture I want to look at is back over here. We don't just have flowers here. Right. In Florida, we have a lot of plants that have color, but it's not what we would typically call a flower. And this one here is an example of that.
Yes, this is a succulent that has some interest predominantly because the color of the leaves, although the blooming part is not the attractive part of the plant. This is in the growth phase and the transition of the color. You see that the stem of the plant is still green, and as
Yes.
maturation occurs, that color extends out through the tip. So
Right.
it's you kind of can go back for multiple scenes of that particular plant.
Well, as long as you live here in Shell Point, you're not going to run out of things to take pictures of, that's for sure.
That's right, and it's always available, and you get to see really nature's work in progress.
You really do. And we hope you come to the photo gallery and studio all during the rest of November and December. Great place to bring your visitors. Will be open on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 1:30 to 3:30, just like the train room. And we'd love to have you come by. I'm sure your family will enjoy the flowers here, just like they enjoy the flowers outside. Thanks for being here, John.
Thank you.
I'll see you in January at another Gallery Glimpses.
And now it's time to cover all today's happenings, menus, and Village Church connections.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Happening segment of Shell Point TV. I'm Dora Robbins.
And I'm Bev Chandley.
And we're going to tell you about all the activities that are going to take place here today at Shell Point. We're going to start at 7:15, Health Connection, Bend, Breathe, and Balance. That's at the Health Club on the island. At 8 o'clock, it's pickleball at the pickleball courts. We have Stamp Ministry at the Stamp Room at 8:15. At 8:30, it's Ladies Golf at the Shell Point Golf Club. 9 o'clock, Bocce at the Bocce Court at the Woodlands. We have open painting at the 9:15 in the Art Studio in the Tunnel. At 9:15, Shuffleboard at the Shuffleboard Courts on the island. We have Basic Social Ballroom Dancing at 10 o'clock at the Health Club, and that's currently closed. At 10 o'clock, Suzy Q is off to Dock Ford. Sign up is required. And the last activity for the morning is at 10:15 through the Bible Studies study group, and that's in the Osprey Room on the island. And here's Bev to tell you about this afternoon.
Thank you, Dora. At 12 o'clock, we have the Shell Point Ensemble. That'll be in the Woodlands Commons lobby. And at 12:30, we have Mixed Progressive Bridge at the Game Room of the Woodlands. The Knitters Group will be in the Osprey Room at 1:15. And also at 1:15, the Rollicking Recorderists will be playing in the Tarpon Room. And our final 1:15 activity is the Women's Connections Prayer for Missions. That'll be in the Hospitality Room at the Village Church. The Stamp Ministry will be in the Sable Room at 1:30. And we have a Health Connections class, King's Crown Fun and Fitness at 1:45. It's a community room of King's Crown. At 2:15, the Vision Enrichment Group will be meeting in the Social Center on the island. And we have Ballet Fit in the Health Club at 2:45. Yoga Fit will be at the Health Club at 3:45. At 6 o'clock, we have Christmas carols being performed by the Shell Point Jazz Band. Between Teledor, Macoma, and Nautilus, they'll be playing at 6 o'clock. They'll play at 6:20 between Royal Bonnet and Periwinkle, 6:40 between Coquina and Sand Dollar, 7 o'clock between Solana and Cameo. We also have Sunset caroling on the Suzy Q. That's at 6 o'clock, and you will have had to have signed up for that in advance. It sure is nice to see you today, and we will see you back here again tomorrow.
Menus for Tuesday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is seafood Newburg with white rice and asparagus. For dinner, they're featuring their dinner buffet for $14.95. The soup of the day is navy bean. In the Island Cafe, the sandwich special is hot corned beef on a Kaiser with potato salad for $7.95. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill are Delmonico steak with port wine sauce for $19.95 or chicken Kiev for $15.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm David Pavey. When you're on the road and in need of a place to spend the night, it's always discouraging to see a sign reading, "No vacancy." But it's hard to imagine the emotions of Joseph and Mary after traveling anywhere from 70 to 90 miles, depending on the route they took, finally reaching Bethlehem, only to discover that there was no room for them at the inn. Not only had they been on the road for perhaps 4 or 5 days, but Mary was pregnant and due to give birth. Riding that far on a donkey would be rough at the best of times, whether or not you're pregnant. I imagine the donkey felt the same way. But to ride that far, reach your destination, and then have to camp out in a stable would be difficult in the extreme. But there it is in black and white in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 2, verse 7, "But there was no room for them at the inn." Perhaps there really was no room. Others had come from afar to register for the census. The town was full. Or perhaps the innkeeper didn't want those kinds of people there. No Samaritans or Nazarenes. After all, can anything good come out of Nazareth? Even if they could claim ancestral roots in Bethlehem. That would never happen in our country, of course, not in this great nation, proud of the welcome we extend to immigrants. Or would it? I read the other day that the governor of Indiana declared that there was in effect no room at the inn for a young Syrian family who wanted to settle there. The couple, who had a 5-year-old son, had worked with U.S. officials and nonprofit organizations for 3 years to obtain refugee status and move to the USA. And finally they arrived, only to find the no vacancy sign in Indiana. Fortunately, they eventually found room at the inn in Connecticut, where they received a personal welcome from the governor. There's a song that asks, "If Mary and Joseph came here today, would we receive them or turn them away?" Well, believe it or not, some would indeed welcome them. For several consecutive years at Christmas, Travelodge, a British hotel chain, made a special offer which they said was to make up for the hotel industry's failures more than 2,000 years ago, when the original Mary and Joseph had to settle for a night in a stable, according to a company's website. They promise free accommodation to couples who share the first names with the couple from Nazareth. The offer was good at any one of the chain's 322 hotels in the United Kingdom, from December 24 to January 5. Joseph's and Mary's quickly signed up for the free night stay, the only requirement being that they provide proof of identity and give evidence of a long-term relationship. Those couples who satisfied the criteria were given a free night in a family room for 2 adults and 2 children. Oh, and the travel lodge added in jest that the hotel would provide parking space for a donkey if needed. By and large, however, our culture finds less and less room for Jesus. We've been telling God to get out of our schools, get out of our government, get out of our lives. No Bible or prayer in our schools, please. Remove the Ten Commandments and nativity scenes from public buildings, please. Happy holidays, not Merry Christmas, please. TV shows and movies that promote profanity, violence, and illicit sex are acceptable. Music that encourages drugs, murder, suicide, and satanic themes is fine, but no room at the inn for Jesus, please. The Apostle John tells us that Jesus came to his own people and they rejected him. They mocked him, whipped him, and had him crucified. No room at the inn was just the beginning of the rejection that the Messiah experienced. But then John gave the good news. But to all who believed him and accepted him, he gave the right to become children of God. They are reborn, that is, born again, not with the physical birth resulting from human passion or plan, but a birth that comes from God. I like Emily Elliott's Christmas carol. Thou didst leave thy throne and thy kingly crown when thou camest to earth for me. But in Bethlehem's home was there found no room for thy holy nativity. O come to my heart, Lord Jesus. There is room in my heart for thee. The author uses the last two lines to pull the singer into the narrative, making this a hymn of personal commitment. O come to my heart, Lord Jesus. There is room in my heart for thee. So as Christmas is upon us once again, let's get beyond the trimmings and the tinsel and be sure we give Jesus his rightful place. Why not take a quiet moment to run a heart check? Is there still no room at the inn? Or has the Christ of Christmas found room in your heart as he has in mine? He's the reason for the season. And thank you for tuning in once again to Village Church Connections.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. Tune in again tomorrow when David Lee brings us a recipe for potato latkes. And we'll hear more about Christmas caroling aboard the Suzy Q. Until then, this has been Shell Point Today for Tuesday, December 13th. I'm Adam Brown, thanking you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.